Here's a highly detailed timeline of the development of Super Mario 64, including the creation of characters like Mips the Rabbit, the removal of Luigi, the evolution of levels like Bob-omb Battlefield, Hump's Fortress, Peach's Castle, and the Bowser stages, as well as other critical design elements. This version goes deeper into specific events, ideas, and technical challenges throughout the game's lengthy development process. 1990–1993, Initial concepts and hardware limitations. 1990–1992, Conceptualizing Mario's future. The Super Mario series was a huge success on the NES instance, leading the development team, led by Shigeru Miyamoto and Koji Kondo, to explore the future direction of Mario games. The idea of moving from traditional 2D side-scrolling gameplay to 3D was discussed, but the team was unsure if the hardware at the time could handle the complex demands of 3D. Super FX chip. Released in 1993, the Super FX chip allowed for rudimentary 3D-like effects on the SNES. Nintendo experimented with the chip for Star Fox 1993, which proved that 3D was feasible but only in very limited forms. Early concept art prototypes, rough prototypes of Mario running around in a 3D space were developed as a test, but the limitations of the SNES hardware made it clear that the full realization of 3D Mario would require a much more powerful console. 1993, Introduction of Project Reality, Nintendo 64. With the upcoming Nintendo 64, then codenamed Project Reality, the team began to envision a true 3D world for Mario. The power of the N64's graphics capabilities would allow for a more immersive and expansive Mario experience. Super Mario 64 concept begins. Early planning for the game began, and the first mentions of Mario in a 3D environment started taking shape. The game would use polygons to create environments and characters, a massive leap from the 2D sprites of previous Mario games. 1994, transition to full 3D development and early testing. Early 1994, Mario in 3D prototypes. Mario's first 3D models, the first prototypes of Mario in a 3D world, began to take form. These early models were low-polygon, blocky versions of Mario, but they were able to walk and jump in a 3D space. Game engine development. The development team began creating the game engine that would power Super Mario 64. This engine had to handle character movement, camera controls, and complex physics in a 3D environment. Initial level design. The team began conceptualizing the first levels, using basic geometric shapes to represent platforms and objects in early prototypes. Late 1994, introduction of Mips the Rabbit. Mips as a test character. Mips the Rabbit was added early in late 1994 as a hidden, non-playable character to test the game's mechanics. Mips was used to test eye behavior, as the rabbit would move unpredictably around Peach's castle. This early version of Mips was part of an effort to make the world feel alive and populated with characters that had their own behaviors. Testing interaction and movement. Catching Mips, a fun challenge for players, was added as an Easter egg to test Mario's interactions with non-playable characters, NPCs, and the game's core movement mechanics, such as jumping and running. Early level testing. Levels like Bob-omb Battlefield were also being built simultaneously, with the team experimenting with world building and object placement in a fully 3D space. 1995, refining core elements, Luigi's removal, and level evolutions. 1995, designing Bob-omb Battlefield and Hump's Fortress. Bob-omb Battlefield, originally designed with a river running through it, Bob-omb Battlefield was one of the first levels that fully showcased the open-world 3D design. The river provided a natural obstacle, but it was eventually removed in favor of more interactive elements like moving platforms, cannonballs, and the introduction of the King Bob-omb boss battle. World design. The idea of power stars to collect in each level emerged here. The team decided that the goal of each level would be to find power stars, with various tasks, such as defeating a boss or solving a puzzle, granting the player new stars. Hump's Fortress. Hump's Fortress was another key level designed in early 1995. The level focused on platforming with massive stone creatures, called humps, that would try to crush Mario. The level was designed to test how the player could navigate complex obstacles, such as moving platforms, in 3D space. Early 1995, character models and prototypes. Mario's final 3D model. The final 3D model of Mario was refined to make his movements more fluid in a 3D space. Animations for running, jumping, and even swimming were developed to ensure a natural movement through the game's open environments. Luigi's removal. Originally, Luigi was planned to be including as a second playable character, with the ability to switch between Mario and Luigi for certain levels or multiplayer challenges. However, by early 1996, Luigi was cut from the final version of the game due to time constraints and technical limitations. While his model was completed and used in early prototypes, the team ultimately decided that focusing on Mario's movements in the 3D world was more important. Late 1995, Bowser stages and final boss mechanics. Designing Bowser's levels. Bowser's levels were designed to be the hardest in the game, requiring the player to navigate tricky platforming challenges while avoiding fire, lava, and other environmental hazards. The Bowser in the Dark World level was one of the first completed, introducing the core mechanic of throwing Bowser into bombs. Final boss design. The team wanted Bowser to feel imposing, so his design included larger, more detailed textures, and his layers were placed in high places to create the sense of scale. Players had to throw him into bombs, which became a defining feature of the fight. 1996, finalizing development, testing, and launch. Early 1996, Peach's Castle and camera system refinements. Peach's Castle, the central hub for the game. Peach's Castle was designed to be expansive, with multiple rooms and hidden areas that connected to different levels. The castle served as a central point where the player could return after completing levels. Camera system. One of the major challenges in designing Super Mario 64 was creating a dynamic camera system. The team developed a camera that could be controlled by the player to give a full 360-degree view of Mario's surroundings. This was revolutionary for 3D platformers and would become a staple in later 3D games. Early 1996, Luigi's removal and Mips's significance. Luigi's removal was finalized in early 1996. And the focus shifted entirely to Mario. Although Luigi was absent, the idea of multiple characters was not entirely discarded, and secret characters like Mips and other hidden elements, such as the invisible cap and wing cap, became the new focus of hidden gameplay elements. Mips as an Easter egg. Mips, who was initially intended as a test character, was given an Easter egg status. He appeared in Peach's Castle and offered players a challenge to catch him for an additional Power Star. March 1996, final polish and bug testing. The development team entered the final stages of polishing the game. The levels were refined, bugs were ironed out, and the final set of Power Stars and hidden secrets were implemented. The team continued testing Mario's movement in 3D to ensure there were no awkward physics or controls that would hinder the player's experience. September 29, 1996, release in Japan. Super Mario 64 was officially released in Japan on September 29, 1996. Alongside the Nintendo 64, the game was praised for its innovative 3D gameplay, fluid controls, and groundbreaking camera system, setting the standard for 3D platformers. Boom Battlefield, Hump's Fortress, and Peach's Castle were among the first levels players encountered, setting the tone for the adventure. The introduction of secret characters, like Mips, and hidden levels, like the Wing Cap and Invisible Cap challenges, kept players engaged long after the main story had been completed. Legacy and impact. 1996–1997, critical acclaim and influence. Super Mario 64 was hailed as one of the most influential video games of all time. It changed the way players interacted with the world around them in a video game, with full 360-degree freedom in 3D space. The innovative camera system, the open-world design of levels like Boom Battlefield, and the introduction of hidden secrets like Mips set the bar for future 3D platformers. Super Mario 64 influenced games like The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, 1998, and beyond. This detailed timeline encompasses the creative evolution, technical challenges, and key decisions behind Super Mario 64. From its earliest concepts to its final release on the Nintendo 64, the inclusion of characters like Meps the Rabbit, the removal of Luigi, and the changes to levels like Ball Boom Battlefield and Hump's Fortress highlights the deep iterative process that led to the groundbreaking game we know today. For many,